evening. Welcome back to your mats. I want to share with you a restorative practice using the chair, which I hope you'll find delicious. Sometimes we don't always need to go hard. Sometimes our yoga practice can be soft and sweet. When I talk about practicing my own personal practice every single day, it's not a hardcore vinyasa practice every single day. It's meditation, it's journaling, it's reading, it's some kind of mindful, joyful movement every day. And today I'm choosing to do something a little bit more restorative with my chair. For props, I have my 2 blocks, which will bring it closer to my chair. I have a blanket, I have a chair, and I have a bolster. So that's what I'm going to be using today. And I'm going to start in seated with a bolster underneath my feet. I'm short, so often when I'm sitting in a chair, my feet are barely touching the floor. So it's nice to have some lovely supported squishiness underneath your feet. I'm going to scoot my bottom back to the back of the chair. I covered the blanket on the back of the chair for me just so it's not pulled against my skin, but you can do whatever you like here and just take a supported seat, if you will. So let's go ahead and close our eyes, coming to our breath, inhaling deeply and slowly, just allowing our face to relax, our jaw to relax, the whole body just to soften. We're going to take about 10 deep inhalations and exhalations right here. Let's take 5 more really deep and slow breaths here, just enjoying being seated in the chair, feeling something underneath our feet. Beautiful. And now we're going to transition to seated on the floor. And we're going to come to seated and we're going to face our chair, or face the seat of our chair. So I'm going to move my bolster out of the way, make my way to standing, and then I'm going to bring my blanket onto the seat of my chair just to make it a little bit more comfortable. Make my way to seated. Move my blocks slightly out of the way. And then I'm going to straddle the chair and bring the chair to me as close as I can. And then I'm going to fold my forearms on the seat of the chair and relax my head toward the chair for a supported, wide-legged forward fold on the chair. So I'm going to take a few moments here just to breathe and just to soften into it. I have the bolster behind me and I'm kind of sitting on the slight edge of it so that it's just like supporting actually just the top of my butt and the bottom of my low back there. It just feels soothing, so it might work for you, it might not. But adjust so that you can find a space where you can commit to this seat for the next few minutes. And just come to your breath, breathing deeply and slowly. Let's take 5 more breaths here. And then slowly inhale with the head and the heart. We're going to make our way onto our back, and we're going to use the chair to rest our legs. So I'm going to slide the chair back a little bit further, and then I'm going to bring both sets of feet over to one side. Bring my feet over to one side and slide my feet up onto the chair. And I just happen to like to slide my feet behind the back of the chair. You can rest your toes on the front. If this feels good, you can rest it here. I just like to slide my feet underneath. Maybe you're fortunate enough to have a chair that doesn't have a back, that has this part of the back, and that'll make it even easier. If you want to cover up in a blanket, you can do that. You can also place a blanket over your hips. I'm going to float my arms out into cactus, just because that to me feels relaxing, just a little bit higher up. And let's take 10 to 15 breaths here. Taking a deep breath in, bringing the knees into the chest, gently rocking side to side. I'm going to roll over to one side and gently remove my chair, grab my blanket and my bolster, and I'm going to do a supported reclining twist. I'm going to bring my bolster over to one side of my mat. Doesn't matter which side, because we're going to do both sides. I'm going to come onto my side, so in this case I'm onto my left side, and I'm going to bring my right knee up on my bolster. I'm going to grab my blanket, place it underneath. I'm going to roll it and place it underneath my neck, and I'm going to take a supported reclining twist. So my right knee is supported by the bolster. My left leg is long behind me. I'm using my left hand as my left arm as a pillow, and I'm sliding the blanket underneath. And then I'm going to take 10 to 15 breaths here. Now take a deep breath in as much as we don't want to move, as much as I don't want to move. We want to balance out the second side, so gently and mindfully pressing down through that right hand, removing the right knee from the bolster, and making your way up to a seat. And all I'm going to do is switch sides by moving my legs to the other side. Bringing my left knee to the bolster. My right arm is going to become my pillow. I'm rolling a blanket, placing it under my neck, just whatever is comfortable for you. What's comfortable for me might not be what's comfortable for you, so adjust accordingly. Oh, and just relax into it, breathe. At least 10 to 15 breaths here. And then when you're ready, you can start to slowly, as much as I don't want to, release yourself from this pose, removing your leg from the bolster, pressing your hand down into the bolster, and pressing yourself up to seated. And now we're going to do our final pose. I'm going to take my blanket and I'm going to roll it into a small roll. That's going to give me just a slight back bend. So I'm rolling it into a small roll. I'm going to place it in the center or at the first third of my mat. Then I'm going to grab my bolster and place my bolster on the bottom third, or almost halfway at my mat. Then I'm going to slide my knees over the bolster, and I'm going to adjust this so that it's right at the center of my back, right at my lower tips of my shoulder blades. And so then my shoulders are going to cascade over the blanket and my mid-back is going to be supported. And I like to have my arms up overhead. I'm going to adjust my bolster underneath my knees. You can rest your hands on your belly. You can bring your hands down by your sides. You can rest your hands on your blanket. This also feels nice. But find where this works for you and then go ahead and embrace it. And just drop into your breath, inhaling and exhaling. Let's take 5 more breaths here in this position. And on your 5th breath, let's start some gentle movement. Reaching the arms up overhead, stretching the legs away. And then we're gonna find ourselves in our final pose. So if you want this to be your final pose, you wanna stay right here. I can't think of a better way to end. But if you're looking for something a little bit different, maybe this back bend was a lot for you, we'll start by rolling onto our side gently and making our way back up to seated. From seated, we are going to stack our blocks. One high, one mid-size, and place our bolster on top of our blocks. I call this the pool chair. We're gonna lean back on that bolster, and I'm going to bring my blanket just underneath my neck, crossing my legs, taking a moment to breathe, and relaxing here for my final pose. You can stretch your legs out straight, place the bolster underneath your legs. You can do whatever you want to do here with the pool chair. So there's lots of different ways you can apply this. You can place another blanket if you need a little bit more support behind your low back. You can bring the soles of your feet together if you want more of a hip opener. I'm just gonna cross my legs because that's what feels good to me. And this is where we're gonna end our practice today. So I'm gonna place my hands in my pocket just so that I can relax my arms. Close your eyes and come to your breath. And stay here for as long as this feels good to you. This is the final pose in our practice. Thank you so much for joining me for our restorative flow. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you just